for about a month and a half, we didn't have a single drop of rainfall. It was complete drought conditions, which is very rare for this area, which usually gets a pretty steady amount of rainfall. But then in the past 3 days, we've just been completely dumped on, and it's put our county into flood warnings and everything, because it's just so much falling. I mean, I had one night I left a bucket out, set up, completely filled and was overflowing, 5-gallon bucket, emptied it out. Next night did the same thing, and the next morning it was filled and overflowing again. So that's a lot of water to fall. But luckily my land here, I've kind of got it to where I've directed the water off where it's not a problem for me, and I've built up on high and dry where the cabin is, so all the water just runs away from it. So I wanted to bring this up because, you know, extreme weather events like this can really harm you. We saw it just in North Carolina. You know, a lot of people, those houses you'd see in the videos where they were being like washed away down the river, they weren't ones that were built up on a hill. You know, they were usually in lower lying areas. Then as the floodwaters came through, it was just too much and would wash it away. So make sure if you buy land and the house is where it is, but if you're going to be building a cabin or something yourself, make sure you're up on a high peak, you know, somewhere high and dry, like I said. But the water you can see going down the driveway on the side here, but actually, like this big root right here a few days ago was not exposed. All this rock too. So all the sediment's been washing away, just because if you look uphill from here, like where the trucks are parked, that's a whole lot of surface area that's collecting rain, and it's all just running down this way. And you know, you can see where it pushes the leaves along with it. So throughout the driveway, I've put in little areas to divert the water then off the side down the hill, because you see, like the hill here, the driveway is going downhill. If I just let all that water wash down there, all of that heavy water while it's downpouring is going to rush down the hill here and pick up velocity, and it's really that velocity which causes washouts, which is then going to rut out my driveway. So like right here, I just dug out a little rut. I mean, it's covered in sediment now, but the idea is then to just run it off and down the hill. So it's been working pretty good. You can see all this sediment filled in here, so I'm going to have to get back in when it stops raining with the shovel and shovel all that out to keep this clear, because I can see some of it is overflowing right here and then going down that hill there and cutting that out. So each time it gets done raining, I like to get out and clear these ruts out to make sure all that water uphill of here is ending up going down the hill, you know, where it's not doing my driveway any damage. This is the more important rut I've dug, because this is right at the top of my big hill, which I paid for gravel and work to be done on, so I don't want that damaged. So here, dug another rut, which again is filling in with sediment I'll have to clear out, but that then just runs off that way down to the ditch near the street. Again, though, you see up the hill of here, that's just a lot of surface area where all that water just runs right down. So this way I've got it redirected off to the side before it goes down and damages my gravel hill. You got to do that. I mean, when you have land, that's a high priority. You can't just let nature decide for itself where the water is going to go, because it could put you in a bad spot. Uh, Luckily, I did make it a priority. So now, even if I were to get flooded out, like down by the road were to be flooded where I can't get out for a few days or something, that's okay. At least I'll be fine up here, safe, high and dry. But ideally, you're not going to totally just divert it perfectly, but if you can just uh, slow it down and get it to absorb somewhat into the ground, that's going to help the soil quality as well. So whatever you can do like this to just try to slow it down. Sure, when I drive over it, it's like a speed bump, but it's a reminder to just drive slowly. And that's okay, because it's a rough driveway anyways. You don't want to be flying through here, it'll bust up your vehicle. The hill is tilted towards one side and down into a little ditch here where you can see all the water's running along the side, which again just helps preserve the driveway. Goes down there and ends up near the road. There's a ditch there that then follows under the culvert under the driveway and comes out over here. So normally this little creek here is dry. You can hear it running. But the hills coming down this way and then down this way and then behind it coming, all that is collecting water, and it's all coming down and then just running down this way. So, I mean, it's not at flood levels because it's just set up to move nicely. But I could see a situation where it's already rained for downpouring for days and it's filling up. Luckily, everything's keeping up, but it's supposed to rain all day today. It looks like maybe just light rain, so I'm not really afraid of it. But if it were to keep downpouring again today, it would possibly overwhelm some of the culverts around the area. So then it just goes in the culvert and then out across the street. My culvert is, you can see that's all running down there. That culvert runs underneath the road and then goes over. You see a little retaining pond across the street. And I'm sure they set that up so that his hayfield doesn't flood out, because that would just be total marshland in rains like this. But I can even see that's getting close to overflowing over there. So they understood they had to control the water flow as well. But that's kind of good, slowing in a retention pond like that, because it'll slowly then sink into the ground and irrigate the hayfield below over time, because a lot of times that's actually dry, that little pond. The best advice I can give is to just simply hone your observation skills on your land. When it's raining, get outside in it and see what the water wants to do, because there's obvious clues. Like you can see, this is hill, all that drains down across the street to the hayfield, and then on the other side of the field you can't see it, but there's a small river out there. So obviously any water is going to come down the hills here and across and want to naturally go over to the little river. I mean, goes all the way, same way that direction. So if you're going to be building, you want to be up on the top there. I would not build structures down here on this flat land. I mean, that's just asking to get flooded out down there. So just use a little common sense and build in a higher area. These heavy rain events happen, so make sure you're prepared ahead of time and got your water moving properly. this could be a lot worse for a lot of people.